What's up, everybody? Welcome to Fallout 4 Settlements. Some of you asked me on Reddit and in YouTube comments to show how did I make a roulette table for a casino in my sanctuary build. So today is your lucky day. We are doing a quick build tutorial roulette table. Just as a reference, this is how the finished product will look like. So sit back, take notes, and enjoy. By the way, I made this silly stage for my quick builds and tutorials. I hope you guys like it. To be honest, I had more fun just junking this place up than I did with most of my settlements. Before we start, let me just let you know that all the mods used are in the description with their respective links to Nexus mods. Also, the build is mostly for the PC users, but there are so many similar objects that PS4 and Xbox users can use as a replacement. So I hope that this tutorial will at least help you to make something, let's say, similar yourself. Anyway, let's get into the build. The central object of the build is the kitchen table. We will also use a cage, a clock, a roof vent, a metal barrel, some conduits, different types of currency, grip padding, small red ball, and both curved and flat pieces of metal bristle. We start with the kitchen table, rescale it to 160% and lower it a bit down. So it's somewhere, let's say, mid-waist or at our hips. Next, we use the corner bristle and we try to align it to the corner of the table. It's a bit tricky, but try to be as precise as you can because then we will rescale it again to 40% and realign it. So the more precise you are when the bristle is big, it will be easier to realign once we rescale it. And then we basically repeat the same process with the other corner as well. See, there is a little bit of tweaking needed, but it's not too terrible. Okay, so we do the second one as well. And then we try to align them as best as we can to the one to each other and also to make sure that they're at the center of the table. Next step is to create the betting area of the table. We will use a cage for that. We will scale it to 40% and align it with the table. Basically, I wanted betting area to have distinct little squares for placing bets, and since the cage already has a grid, it's easier to use it than to place pipes or conduits or whatever. But for PS4 users and Xbox users, any horizontal thin object will fulfill the same purpose. For me, this was just faster and easier, so that's why I basically use the cage. And then we have to add the center padding on both sides. Again, align it as best as you can, rescale it to 40% and realign. And then of course, you have to repeat the process on the other side as well. Now we'll make the roulette wheel. The clock will be our base. We basically rescale it to 150%, turn it horizontally, and then try to align it to the center of the table. This is the most tricky part, but you can see how I'm moving it in the console commands. Again, you will probably have to tweak it a little bit to make it perfect, but it's not, like I said, it's not the end of the world. And once we have it perfectly aligned, it's a good time to do the padding on that side of the table as well. The steps are basically the same that we did for the left side of the table. So place it at the center, rescale to 40%, and then realign and repeat. For the center of the wheel, we will use the roof vent. We will place it in the center of the clock, rescale it to 65%. As you will see, I rescaled it several times, but that was the final size I've stuck to it, so the 65% one. And then you will see after the vent is centralized, I added a metal barrel, since first of all it looks like it's supporting the table, and secondly it hides the bottom part of the vent. So you don't have to use a barrel, you can use something else, or maybe if you like how the vent looks like, you don't have to use anything. Next step is to add the padding. I've rescaled it to 100% and align it with the table. And I also added 2 conduits and made the betting area with 12 fields, which is kind of cool because it corresponds to the 12 digits on the clock. So the number of betting areas is the exact same as number of possibilities on the roulette wheel. I mean, you don't have to do it, but I don't know, I thought it would be cool. And I used the small conduits to make the little handles on the roulette wheel. I've rescaled them to 60% and just aligned them to the center of the roof vent. Next, I finished the horizontal padding on both sides. Again, try to align it as best as you can to avoid clipping. And last but not least, I added a small roulette ball in the wheel. The last touch was, of course, to add all the different currencies, and that's it. I hope you guys like the final product. I think it looks decent enough for a Fallout 4 settlement as a custom made object, not too shabby. Before we finish, let me just show you how it looks like in the casino setting. And once again, I know this was more for PC users, but I'm sure there are many objects PS4 and Xbox users can use to make something very similar. If you want to know how some other things or buildings for my settlements were made, just let me know. Same goes for if you have any questions or settlements/video suggestions, just leave it in the comments. I hope this was useful and to the point. Let me know what you think, like, share, and see you guys next time.